for Planet Green.
We have launched.
We've completely launched. We've started the show, and it is Planet Green Trees. We're about to embark 2 hours of medical marijuana and marijuana reform in Michigan.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen, the Planet Green Trees show is underway with your host, attorney Michael Komorn.
I don't have my hand up. All righty.
We have launched.
Welcome, everybody. Listen to Planet Green Trees. And, of course, today is September 30th, 2021.
January 30th.
Officially episode 533.
January.
Take My Hand, We'll Make It, I Swear. Sounds like something Dan came up with. That's the name of the show title. And we're very excited. We got a great show planned, a lot of good topics. And of course, we have the Canna Jam to promote and talk about as things are heating up and moving in the Canna Jam direction. Everyone get on the train. The Canna Jam.
Choo-choo.
Canna Jam train.
It's going to be awesome. Amanda is going to be there.
I'm going to be there, and it's going to be a great time, and I can't wait to talk about everything. And we're going to be jamming. That's basically the bottom line.
We're going to be jamming. That's kind of Bob Marley-esque.
It is, totally.
So the story is, today is episode 533. I'm Michael Komorn, your host of Komorn Law PLC. The topics we're going to discuss may involve a rant, and the other ones listed here in no particular order and no guarantee. We're going to cover them. Our former NBA star Chris Webber is building a $50 million cannabis facility in Detroit.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Corktown. God, he must have some confidence that legalization is going to happen in Detroit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that is a vote of faith right there.
Let's come back to that. Let's address that one. Canna Jam Fest is Saturday, October 9th. Starts at high noon. Wow, there's so much to talk about there. Wait a second. Are we allowed to play Pink Floyd?
It's not really Pink Floyd.
What are we doing? We should be.
It's an echo of Pink Floyd, which we are absolutely allowed to play.
It's just an echo.
It's their promotional material.
We're going to echo it too.
Oh, there we go. It's going to be great. There's going to be lasers. And, of course, we will all be there, including Amanda.
Right.
And Tommy.
Yes, that's right. And Jimmy.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Where's Tom Baller in that?
Michael will be there.
Beller. I didn't see him.
You'll be hanging around.
Can we just have that playing in the background all the time? It's very settling to me for some reason.
It's nice.
I mean, I didn't know that we.
It also.
There's no copyright issues with playing that. I
mean, there probably is, but you're a lawyer, so figure it out.
I mean, all I know is that.
Let's ask Dirty Dan.
This is what I know, and this is all that matters. It doesn't matter what the law is; it just matters what the God YouTube says. That's just making these decisions, because you can't stop them. Can't stop them. All right. So the other thing is.
Okay, I will save the story. Save the story about the Facebook moderator. He's got PTSD. That's all I'm saying.
That's a good thing to go to when we go to the. Okay, the final topic is cannabis school is now in session in Pontiac. We're gonna have to flush that one out. All right, so we got a great number of individuals here who are going to be contributing to the entertainment for our listeners. And some are here in the studio, some are on the Zoom. Let's introduce them. Let's start with, we've got the Bunker Boys running the technical side of things. Tommy, Justin, and Dan, Dirty Dan somewhere in the area.
Dirty Dan.
Dirty Dan. God
These guys have been, it's very important that they are held accountable for any technical issues because they are going to be in they're going to be in the big leagues on October the 9th. And while I am much more patient about technical problems and violations, there will be none of that on October the 9th.
No, none.
So this is good working it up for getting the mindset, having to overcome whatever split-second decisions that have to be made. It's good. We're working that out. All right. Moving around the room, we got the one and only founder of Michigan Parents Compassion. And I understand he recently just set up an AOL account, email. Look for those.
I did.
Please welcome our dear friend Jim Powers.
Thank you, Michael. Good evening, everybody. It's great to be here. Looking forward to Canna Jam next weekend, the 9th. It's going to be a great show, a lot of fun. Hope everybody can make it out. And, of course, looking forward to a great show tonight. We'll talk a little bit more about Canna Jam a little later. And excited to talk about this vote of confidence of $50 million in the recreational market in Detroit.
It's pretty wild. We're going to get to Jim, I sent you that what I thought was a funny meme. It had like an Amazon theme to it. Was that fun?
It did. It was funny. And it was funny in a lot of ways because lately my daughter has been enamored with cat videos. So I've been finding ridiculous cat videos on YouTube and sharing them with her for about the last 3 weeks. So it was timely, I would say.
I'm going through the same thing as well. I wasn't sure if it wasn't exclusively like a cat joke. The meme or whatever it was the three or four cats sitting around. There were the founders of Amazon saying, "This is the way we can get more boxes into the house." You know, by starting Amazon, so everyone's going to be receiving things, and then the cats complain. But I guess it's a cat joke kind of thing. Yeah, my thing is, my son's fascinated with the box fort, principles, and there are many YouTubers that have
box fort baby.
Box fort baby. Anyways, all right, moving on. We got he decided to come back into the studio. We're glad to have him back, even though he's out there sometimes, most of the time. But he's back in black. Our dear friend Steve Miller.
Got to be here to promote the Canna Jam. Got to be in and on the deal. Plus, it's come on now.
We really should have had some of the vast catalog of Steve Miller's from the 70s represented at the show. We're gonna have to make sure.
Like an eagle.
Yes, we're gonna have to make sure that is.
I think we could probably have one of those guys. We'll slip them a note with $5 bill. See if they can off the cuff a Steve Miller band.
You reminded me of the question. Remember, for a period of time, I'd ask a question to each person instead of just the introduction. Amanda, you reminded me. What is the most ridiculous social media encounter you've ever had? That's the question. Because Amanda, you're gonna tell a story about some moderator. Jim, do you have one?
Oh God, I mean,
one.
There's so many. I remember, and there's one I won't talk about because it's disrespectful to the person, and I don't want to be disrespectful to them. But back in the the like MMA days, there was lots of that social media crap going on, and a specific encounter. I don't know. There were just so many of them, of people arguing these incredibly, ideological views. And during Am I Legalized, there were people threatening to throw bricks and shit at us. And I mean,
really?
Yeah.
Why?
From what side? From the cannabis community, the other side?
I mean, people that didn't want it legalized, not from the
right.
Oh, okay. Not from within.
No, it's always funny, and it's one of those things where you look at social media, and it's giving everybody in America a voice is a blessing and a curse. It's a blade that cuts both ways.
You are correct.
And so you got to take a lot of that shit with a grain of salt, and that's why I don't spend a whole lot of time on social media.
It's understandable. I'd ask Steve, but I don't think Steve spent any time. And I think he spent a couple minutes there.
I do not participate in social media. And when I was there, I just didn't care for that realm of existence. So I removed myself from it, and I think I'm much more at peace because of it.
It's much more difficult to be just a troll banging on people. I feel like they've kind of exposed a lot of that. They let you have multiple accounts. But I don't know. But Amanda, you had a story to tell. First of all, please welcome Amanda Joslin, the one and only, all the way from FLA, and of course you have the Elevation Station. I may be mispronouncing the actual calling of the entity now, but certifications galore and YouTube phenomena in her own right. Please welcome Amanda Joslin.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. And yes, I do have a social media story. First, I think that people are probably much happier if they don't have a social media.
I can attest to that.
If you are not careful with it. So then secondarily, I was watching this documentary about a gentleman who was undercover for reasons like because he didn't want to get sued and stuff. So basically he did this undercover thing where he was working at Facebook and his job was to be the moderator. Okay, so he's the one that all the time, every time somebody reports, or you go to post something and it violates community standards, he was one of the guys behind that. And literally some of the stuff that he said that they saw, they ended up having to have like PTSD therapy and medication and the whole route, because people are pretty intense. For whatever reason, they like to post certain things on there, and sometimes it's not quite appropriate, and things that we see, I mean, we're surrounded by so much information, and that's what we do all day, is gather information from various sources. And those are the people that we're trying to prevent other people from seeing it, like
Sure.
terrible things.
So this guy he was an investigator, police officer.
He was just an employee, just a standard employee.
I see.
That just was hired in, and he was put along with about 20 other people, and they were round the clock, 24 hours a day. And then all they would do is sit there and watch uploads, things people uploaded to Facebook specifically. And so he didn't want to show his face or anything, because he didn't want any negative consequences from that.
Sure.
But there were several people who ended up having to be let go, or that had to leave the company because of that type of thing. It was just too much.
I don't know if I should ask the question because it's kind of off topic.
Ask it.
So down in Florida,
Yeah.
what is the legal buzz, government buzz on the Delta 8?
The Delta 8 or the Delta 10.
And those hemp-derived THC products, are they talking about regulating them down there like they are up here? Or is it just kind of a hands off, we don't give a shit?
They haven't really, that I have seen, there haven't really been any discussions on regulation of Delta 8, 10, or any of the other Deltas. They have really kind of let that go. Although I did go into a dispensary the other day and saw some Delta 8 products. So I don't know. I mean, there's in one of the malls down here in Naples, they have a big store inside of the mall. I think
Delta, you sent us a picture of that one time.
Yeah, Delta 8 and Delta 10 just plastered all on the front of the windows. But I do have to say their medical program is a lot different. Like as far as quantities, the way they track the usage, and
more restrictive than here, you think?
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Just curious on what Florida's doing.
So there's not a lot of smoke shops that sell, Delta 8 or Delta 10. There may be a few. Okay, so it's not being regulated, is what you're saying?
No,
yet.
It's not being regulated. But I've seen it both in smoke shops. I've seen it in the mall, in a store front, and then I've also seen it at the dispensaries. So it's a lot of places, but they also have kava bars and different things like that down here too, which is, there's one kava bar that I know about in Michigan.
Is there? Where's that at?
Yeah.
What's a kava?
In Grand Rapids. It's a root,
Kava
Michael.
is a root, and it's very calming.
It's called the kava hut.
And I used to
Grand Rapids.
You could get kava as a supplement at one point in time. And I used to get it when I worked midnights. It was the best thing I could find to help me sleep during the day.
Yeah.
And then the government bans it. So anytime something is any good, the government bans it. So as soon as they ban it, it's a good product.
So is it?
So Michael, it's intoxicating.
But is it? So is it banned? You're saying it's banned in Michigan, but they've licensed it?
Well, I think the FDA banned it as a supplement long ago. But then, like in Texas, there's kava bars.
I learned something new. I'm gonna have to check this out. Kava.
Kava.
I gotta check out the laws on it. That's why I'm inquiring. Kava.
Yeah.
Kava.
All right. The other thing you were talking about, I think. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish that. Finish your thought.
Oh no, I was just saying. So the medical program they're annuals, right? So everybody goes for a 1-year card, but your doctor and everything is kind of printed right on your stickers. So every time you walk out of the dispensary, it has not only your name, but also who your doctor is.
Oh, wow.
So they pretty much have you like on lock in regards to coming back, because when they go to renew, they have to, if they're not going to the same doctor, they have to physically drop the doctor. It's weird. But they do emails for approvals, and those are a true 10 days, 10 business days as opposed to our 3 business days. And then the card arrives shortly thereafter. So you get your email. You can probably visit once or twice before your card comes.
Are they reciprocal down there?
Nope. No recreational either.
Okay, so you have to have a card to get into the
Yes.
dispensary. Okay. And
The one thing they do have is the Snowbird program, which is where, it would be a benefit for folks that are coming from up north, because there's a program where if you know you're going to be in Florida between January and March, let's say, then you can get your card ahead of time, or you can start your process ahead of time, see the doctor, and then have your card for 6 months. And you don't have to change your residency.
Well, that's pretty good, I guess, but
yeah,
still seems to be overly regulated in a heavily Republican state that don't like their regulations.
Are there any conditions? Are there any conditions that we would think?
So much for that.
Yeah.
Are there any conditions that we think would be qualifying that are not in Florida? Or is it more the process? Is there more of a hurdle to become quote unquote?
The government gives you, or the state will give you like about 6 or 7 qualifying conditions, and then the freedom for the doctor to put a like/kind. So, for instance, if you got anxiety on there, if somebody's suffering from anxiety,
Right.
then they may just fall under the PTSD category.
All right. And they don't make a
That
big deal
type
out
of
of it
thing.
because
No, they require all of the certifications, the information and qualifying conditions go to the college, one of the Florida State University, for studies. And so on a regular basis, they'll spit out all of their data and let everybody know, like, this is what our studies are telling us. These are the educational programs we're putting out in response to that, and yada, yada.
All right. I would ask more questions, but I feel like Jamie Lowell's getting restless because I don't want to let him think that he is
he's getting
not
pissed.
recognized as being recognized and or felt to feel important as he is. And of course,
he's one of our biggest Canna Jam promoters.
but he's not.
Jamie.
He has not gotten out of the responsibility for everything that has always
Waiting
befallen
here
him.
patiently.
Okay, Jamie, thank you for being on the show tonight.
Amanda, wait a second, Amanda, if you still want to keep on going, it's okay with me. I'm patiently
I'll
waiting.
think of something else to talk about as we go.
Well, I like to listen. I want to return to the topic of the sensitivity. I wasn't sure if the uploads that were causing the monitors of the social media were pictures or words. I think it's an interesting topic if we get to a situation where words read on a page cause PTSD. Like at a point when that happens, I wonder where we're going to be. You know what I mean? Like isn't that strange? Like that.
Well,
I mean, I understand
words
something.
hurt, Michael.
Words can hurt. Words can hurt. I'm reminded of that South Park episode where they read that book and you start reading it, they would throw up. Like they couldn't. Like, oh, this is the greatest book ever. Blah. They're like throwing up. You know what I mean? It's like having that kind of like visceral reaction to reading. You know what I mean? Which is a phenomenon. And I think it's probably dangerous in a way because if words are that bad, they're going to
Are you guys
start.
ever going to get to me or what?
That's a topic I want to return to, and unless we have something else that's more important. Oh, Jamie, go ahead. Sorry, Jamie, go ahead. Jamie, so Jay, it's been a busy week. Jamie's been very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Although he's cheating a little bit on Canna Jam. I know he's involved with some other promotions. It's okay. It's okay. We won't call her out. The other.
So glaringly missing from the list of topics is the attack on caregivers by Steve Linder and the Michigan Cannabis Manufacturers Association and other big money interests And the bills that have been introduced, House Bills 5300, 5302, there's a couple more too that I haven't even checked out yet that are, I guess some are tie barred and some aren't.
All three are tie barred. All three are.
Those three are, but there are two others that have been introduced.
What are they called?
I don't know.
They're called the further attack on the caregiver system, Michael.
Yeah, and they might be tied in, they might not, or one of them maybe, or something like that. I don't know that whole picture.
Is it in lieu? Is it in lieu of the 5301, or is it?
No, in addition to, we expected 5 from the beginning. Those 3 came out, and then apparently there was a lag in time between the other ones coming out, which I have to get more information on. But
I was going to say the shock and awe that we weren't going to talk about this should be immediately overcome, because I knew we were going to talk about it, and you're ready to talk about it. And what we're talking about for the listeners
I was just going to, yeah, okay. If you want to start talking about it, that's cool. I was just kind of setting up the.
No, I know, and I want to talk about it. I want to give a little background and context to it as one of the topics. That's what we're doing. We've now moved to the front of the list.
Yeah.
It's related to the Canna Jam.
We were just totally waiting for you to bring it up.
There's a relationship with the Canna Jam, but what I was getting to is that now those bills, the first 3 bills anyway, are going to get a hearing in the Regulatory Reform Committee on Tuesday, and there's going to be a huge response.
Next week.
People in this
Yeah,
movement community.
next week.
Yes, Tuesday, October 5th.
Right. Now, this is elevated in terms of its concerns because many have said this isn't going to go anywhere. Not this term, not this session. Sounds like a lame duck session kind of law.
That is a dangerous assumption for people to make.
But let's talk about some of the particulars if we can, and then we can talk about. There's different ways to analyze this. I think. So let's go through it. So I mean, in a general broad. So just to put some context in there.
Let me say right off what I don't like about getting into a bunch of the details about it. The headlines are, it changes what the existing caregiver system, and it adds on a new license that under certain circumstances could allow caregivers to bring some product back into the commercial market. At the point in which existing rights of caregivers are peeled back, the rest of it becomes a non-starter for me. I'm familiar with a lot of the shit that's in there, but to start taking away rights from a system that hasn't produced any issues is the immediate problem for me. I'm still stuck there, so I just want to point that out because there's layers and layers and layers of shit in the bill, including people not being able to make extractions in their own home and the many difficulties that are implied in the commercial or the new license side of it. And when that happens, sometimes the people backing the bill believe they're going to enter into a negotiation and they can peel back a bunch of that stupid shit and still get away with what they were trying to achieve in the first place. So that kind of stuff's going on, and there's tons of stupid shit in there. But at the point of taking away existing rights is all I need to know.
Okay. I wanted to just kind of frame it in a way for the discussion. These were introduced by 2 Republicans. Is there a Democrat?
Nope. Republican and a Dem.
One Democrat, one Republican.
Yeah, and in the other bills, there's 2 Republicans and 1 Dem. And I think the new ones might include another Dem too, but we have to take a look at those.
Okay.
But for sure, the hearings are coming up around these 3. Steeland, Representative Steeland from, I think, like Roseville area, that's the Democrat. Representative Lilly from, like, maybe Muskegon, South Haven kind of area. That should probably be looked up to know for sure, but west side of the state nonetheless.
The bill is titled House Bill 5301, and at the bottom of it lists the other 2 bills that are tie barred. Jamie said there's a couple new bills that were introduced. So, and they were assigned to the administrative
Regulatory reform.
All right. So, and of course, it would have one of these hearings where the different persons that are involved with the stakeholders, whatever, can testify and offer their opinions and amendments, and whether they support it or don't support it. And if the right number of people support it, it gives the committee a basis to kind of
report it out,
which means that it would then go to the House for a vote, right? If it's going to be amended, they got to.
It can be reported out of committee with a simple majority, but it would then have to pass in the House by a supermajority.
And the bill is intended to amend the MMA of 2008-9. It has been amended 3 times. The last time, which is the one that expanded the, maybe 4 times. At least one of them was the one most significantly that opened up the non-plant material volume limitations for solids, liquids, and gases, and applied retroactively. And I think the phenomena that stands out to me, Jamie, is that I think fondly of the MMA. I think it's a great law. It was a voter initiative. It started all of the change and perception of cannabis in the state of Michigan. Generally speaking, I think its impact was I'm saying the passing of the law was an uphill battle on a lot of fronts, in the sense that it was a voter initiative. It was criticized. It didn't fit into the rubric of the existing framework of laws. It was a lot of conflict with other laws. You hear all these different political philosophies from courts and police that they don't like it, they don't want it, and it was railed on. It was rolled out in a way that I don't think any other legislation would, in that the uncertainty of it was both from the police, the prosecutors, and the people that were being charged with knowing the law. And the resolution of this was in court. This is a phenomenon that should never happen in a free society. Like, you should know what the crimes are. There should be clear, unequivocal definitions, but yet people were guinea pigged into first of their kind of cases that helped for the record create some kind of framework by which people could operate. But as much as that was going on, and as much as different bad rulings would come out of different jurisdictions, over and over and over again, the Supreme Court set it straight. Most of the time. I mean, the McQueen opinion probably could have been a little...
Probably.
Would have been a
that
different...
was the start of the end.
Well, I mean, first of all, you got... Let me name some of the ones. You've got, Hardwick and Tuttle, the difference in Section 4 and Section 8. Yeah. Not that we didn't know that before. Yeah. You've got Tierbeek in Wyoming, which protected caregivers.
Good. Not so much anymore. They've eroded the hell out of him.
Okay, well, there's that one. Then we've got, Larry King comes to mind. You got...
Fiesel was a good one.
Balsma, Fiesel.
Fiesel was a good one.
What's the Kuhn?
Kuhn was a good one.
I mean, I'm probably missing one or two. I'm trying to think. Balsma was not great. Balsma was great for one reason, in that it identified that because the affirmative defense... I think it was Balsma. Because of the affirmative defense is an issue for the trier of fact, a judge, cannot judge the credibility of the witnesses at the Section 8 hearing. You don't know how enjoyable it is to tell a judge that? Judge, you can't judge his credibility. Why am I here? Oh, I had a couple of good goes back. Anyways, it's a great law, and it has served its purpose. And the phenomenon to me is that despite its presence in the, the history and jurisprudence of Michigan law, and the antagonism that it had from all the people that were in charge of the, enforcement of laws, no matter how much they hated it, it withstood the stand of time. And the community of patients and caregivers and activists were able to fight those things off in a really remarkable way. And it stood the test of time. And when you look at, I think it was 2011 or 10 when Schuette came in 2010, there was 24 amendments that were introduced that were going to change the MMA, most of them by Schuette.
It really made you feel alive, though, I would say.
It did, but none of those happened. There was a clearing of the way, and sure enough, when the MMFLA concept of that was, when it was constructed, there'd been a lot could be said about the MMA. I mean, the bad part of the construction of the MMFLA is they didn't consider caregivers for that program. But,
well, they did, and then they decided not to.
Well, their final decision was not to.
Right.
But you're right. A lot could be said that the writing was on the wall in 2008, 2014. There's I could think of cases where it sounded like it was over, and then, the defense and protection of the MMA got a new breath of air from the Supreme Court. I feel like that happened a bunch of times. But we've said in the past, Jamie, Jim, Steve, Amanda, that the writings on the wall for the caregivers has been for a while. But there is something to be said about the way that it didn't happen. You know, like it really didn't happen. There was never, it was a small group of activists with not a lot of resources to even compete in the framework that things get done. Yet they were able to, and
this is the most recent challenge. This is
all right. So this most recent challenge, which is the most,
it's the most formidable.
It's the most
similar
aggressive, right? It's the most aggressive in changing the basic fundamentals. Like the basic fundamentals are now being jeopardized. The basic rights, the fundamental, principles in there are certainly being. To me, the most striking. I know we're not getting into the details, Jamie, but equally to me.
You can if you want to. I was just pointing out at the point when they say.
I get it. Well, I was going to let me. Okay, fine.
5 patients down to 1 fucking patient. That's a non-starter. Anything after that. So
well, let's say that this thing that I'm going to say appears in the paragraph before. I would say that this would be one that you would. That would be the end of it all. Also, you wouldn't even get to. They're trying to reduce
the solvents thing or the.
No. It's the caregivers must designate where they are growing their plants.
Right.
Because to me, that is the end of the end there, because to get a caregiver card, you have to identify what. So now the whole world knows where your plants are supposed to be. You can now be identified where one can go and where the inspections is going to follow now. You know what I mean? This is what this is being set up for. And that to me is the problem. I mean, there's a lot of.
Anything that reduces what exists now, anything that makes anything more restrictive or difficult or vulnerable, any of that right is makes the rest of it.
No, I understand, but I'm saying to you that think about, whether you got 12 plants, 24 plants, 36 plants, 72 or 150 when you're only allowed 36. You know what I mean? Like that is a thing. Every caregiver is going to, comply with the law. They may have, they could have 24 clones that they say don't have roots, and there's an issue about this or that. There may be a dispute over that technically and stuff like that. But all of those things are so much real now if there's a list identifying where the plants are growing. The beauty, there's a certain level of exceptional freedom that people could grow their plants, and they don't have to designate where it is. The state doesn't need to know, and there's no place that list could be gotten by inspectors, investigators, or enforcement officers, or zoning officers. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of, they're like my advice was always, if you're going to be a caregiver, you honor the location as if it's a security issue. Nobody should know where your plants are being grown. It's not for anybody to know because it's a safety issue. It's that you're worried about the police, you're worried about people robbing you, and it's just not something you want to do. And it makes someone vulnerable too, because if get in a fight with someone, your argument, they've got leverage on you. They got all of that. It could be a simple anonymous tip. So I was always. So anyways, I make that, Jimmy. I'm not saying any one removal of a right is greater or worse than the other removal of the right, and I understand the focus on the plant count and medical use with the plants, but another important or significant standout here is the removal of the privacy issue, not just for inspection reasons, but also for safety reasons. All right, so here's So that is extensive, but the reality is that this has only come about because there's a new player in the cannabis community, right? There's this new force in the cannabis community. It was born out of the tax and regulate law, the MRTMA, which probably every caregiver voted for, incidentally. I think also and there shouldn't be anything wrong with that. No caregiver should be punished for voting for recreational. What I think we're experiencing, Jamie, I'm going to throw out my reflections, if I might, for a second. I'm going to stop talking and let everybody comment, but I do want to get this out while it's fresh. I attended the cannabis laws section seminar in Mount Pleasant last week, which is nothing to brag about, but it's certainly, a lot of lawyers standing around listening to regulators about what's happening in the cannabis industry. And I use the word cannabis industry because prior to MRTMA, there really wasn't an industry. There was an MMFLA, but it wasn't as robust, and the limitations of the commerce was limited to 275 people. Those 275,000 patients, which is the totality of the market. But now with the recreational market, it's a whole other story. And there is a phenomena that I think cannot be understated, which is the MRA, or what was LARA, and its functionality and whatever it produced in the state of Michigan. I know there was a point in time where, application fees brought in revenue for the state, and there was, other processes and whatever, and the LARA running the MMA program, and, they didn't remember the story. They didn't have the right number of machines to get the cards out, that the cards were 6 months late. I mean, think about those days. They had one machine or two machines. Remember? All right. So now we're talking about an agency. They're talking about an agency that is involved with the production of $110 million a month in sales. That is the production of $1 billion or more a year, okay? They went from not having enough resources to get a machine that could create cards to literally a top 5 Forbes producing type of agency. From what was nothing to a windfall like the state of Michigan has not seen in years. Now, this phenomena creates a lot of very interesting realities. One is, the argument is, this is what tax and regulate does. It brings in money to the state, right? We want to go with this, and we want to ensure that tax and regulate continues. Now, the reality that I see is that, like tax and regulate can be molded into a lot of different things, right? There's generally speaking, we know that whatever the activity commercial is going to be taxed, and there's going to be some oversight to it, right? But when the rollout of the market is not done in a way that creates, opportunity, equal opportunity, and the control of the business licenses is in these limited areas in terms of the real estate, and so you have supply problems with inventory or places that these activities can go, it creates a huge problem for entry into the market. And those that have entered into the market, obviously because of the MMFLA first, which had much higher requirements, limited cities that were opting in. And many of the cities even, continue with the requirement that you got to be medical before you get recreational, and that whole slow rollout. But it certainly gave a business advantage to many companies that were here, got in early, and made a lot of promises to cities, whether they fulfilled them all or not. But they, took on a lot of the licenses. So that phenomena that if there's someone got pre-qualified for a 500 plant grow, a lot of people could. There should not really be a barrier for most people. Even if someone that's been caregiving per se, there's not a specific limitation within the unless there's a sale to a minor. But with that being said, even if they were pre-qualified, the question is always going to be, where do you go? Where's a building that I can buy on my budget? And then I got to, get the lights in, or, retailers, get a small retail mom and pop place, wherever you want to. You got to buy inventory. You got to stock the shelves. I mean, it's a. Now, with all that being said, this entry point and the price of real estate, the other costs that go along with it, are all hyperinflated to the point where there's huge barriers again because of the limited inventory. And that's a problem. And if you said tax and regulate was going to be slowed in its growth because cities and townships weren't going to be opting in, some people may have predicted it, some people would not have. I don't know if that phenomena could predict the disproportionality of what's taking place here, that there's limited places and they're being gobbled up by bigger entities, and a lot of the regulatory processes eat into any investment that may exist, and people become vulnerable in a big business that's, vertically integrated and, self-reliant to some degree, have leveraged themselves into a better position. And that's a phenomenon that's taking place. Jamie, would you agree with that?
Yeah, that's definitely happening.
All right. So
Skymint just bought 315. Became the biggest in the Michigan.
they got a $70 million purchase of 27 retail centers, which is the example of big business. And, it's not a monopoly yet because there's other places, but there's certainly, when they begin to own a greater share of the marketplace, that creates some issues for everybody else.
It's not going to stop.
There's an argument it's not going to stop, Jim says. I mean, we know Gage is sold, and they sell theirs. They got $568 million, something like that, right?
And if you look at any other industry, this is, unfortunately, it's the logical progression. And what we'll see after the legalization happens at a federal level eventually is that it'll go national.
Unequivocal, the federal legalization, I agree with you, will cause that. And these companies now, maybe some of them will survive. Even the big companies, they'll all be eaten up by, Wall Street and hedge fund investors.
If you look at, I grew up during the .com era, and that's where I started my professional career, and I saw the exact same thing with internet service providers. It's uncanny.
Right, there's a lot of them, and then all of a sudden there's
like 5 of them. I mean, it's insane.
True, and there's probably a lot of video platforms originally, and YouTube ended up winning, and they're all fighting. Venmo was, what is that one? Right, there's a bunch of them that were competing at the time. All right, but here's what this is what I see the phenomenon of where we are in terms of, so you have, because of term limits, and because we've been at this 12 years, there's a reality that people that are currently in the legislature were not in the legislature or even aware of the issues regarding the MMA, right? That's a fair statement. I would say this because the law that passed that we were complaining about, that goes into effect October 11th, that redefined what marijuana is, like, we got definitions. It's been done, and it's better than it, and it's a federal definition now. What are you doing? And they just did it as if there's no history, there's no acknowledgement of, that previous definition, how it was fought over and what the words meant, and now they're just making stuff up without purpose, thought, or legitimate contemplation. It's just bizarre the way. So I mean, this is what happens though. You got a whole new group of legislatures that just arrived on the planet. They have no concept or sense of the history, and they hear these statistics: $110 million in sales. We're on a Forbes list. Andrew Brisboe is killing it, and our tax revenue is what? And Michigan is doing what? And we had none of this before. Now we got all this now. Like that is the discussion. That is what's like in government of what's good for the state. That is good, right? Getting money in that quantities is good, right? So, and it was brought to you by the MRA and the MRA brain tank and the people that are making those laws. And at the end of the day, there's an individual named Andrew Brisboe, the executive director, and if it wasn't doing this, he would probably be accountable. Yep. So he has elevated himself to a position of extreme power, I would say. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just saying he's become a huge value to the state of Michigan, more so than any other legislature in a way, because they can't bring in that kind of money. They can raise money for themselves, which is a waste of money. But it's not going. I mean, whatever tax dollars, whatever it's fulfilling, is fulfilling a void of some other dollars they're not getting, right? And that works well in government. And his opinion of how they're going to do it is going to be conceded to. Now, this is not uncommon across the country in terms of other states that are going through the same thing. Their agency, the regulators, are not elected officials. Yet they have more power than any elected official. They cannot be voted out of office, and they cannot be removed. That if there's a complaint, it's going to come from within. You know what I mean? They're going to somehow discipline or fire. That's the only way. And I don't think that's going to happen. And I think that, Jamie, we talked about it. I don't know. It was this round of crap or the last one, but the the word out of Lansing, and maybe it was rumor or speculation, but Brisboe was actively involved with the creation of some of the legislation and the amendments and input, which is not the norm. He can make administrative rules, and he can do a number of different things through the agency, but he's actively lobbying and
Toward the end of last session, he was actively working on opening the acts to combine the commercial licenses. I don't believe that he actively was involved with the amendments that are in this package.
I'm not implying that. I'm not implying that at all. What I'm saying, the point about Andrew, and nothing bad should be said about him. I'm not misspeaking him. Whether he's been in our show. I consider him a friend to a certain degree, and and I think but he's a administrative executive of an agency, and I'm just saying the success of the program, I think he gets credit for. I think the credit. I'm not saying, but I'm saying he's perceived of it, like his decisions and leadership.
Well, he's had a big part in it.
Well, of course he has, and more importantly, because he's the executive, he can claim victory. He can claim the successes are his, because had they not gone that way, he would have been responsible. So I think it goes with the territory that, whether it's true or not, he gets credit, right? And I think that whether that's true or not that he gets credit, I think he's going to get credit from the legislature, because they don't know what's going on the day-to-day. They just see the numbers coming out and what's being produced. And I don't think they want to disturb that. And I think they want to empower him more and give him more authority to do that. Now, and if he looks out at the world and says, well, how did I get here? A lot of it has been contributed by the industry players, the big players, the ones that are vertically integrated, the ones that have lobbyists, the ones that are on calls with him and giving input. And he's the type of operator that he wants the stakeholders to have input. He wants the program to work.
Yes.
What work looks like is this. And this came here from regulations, more rules, more restrictions, and arguably limitations of, he has nothing to do with this, but that didn't hurt him. I think that the control of the areas and the people that have the licenses make it easier for them. Like if there's 500 individual companies that own all the licenses versus 10 companies that own some licenses, it's different, because you got protocols and less consistency and problems. But anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is the influence that those entities have had on what tax and regulate looks like cannot be understated. I think the success of it and whether it's helpful or not, the input, hey, Brisboe, we need this, and this, and our POSs will run more smoothly. That we'd all be, we'll be able to turn this around, make that over there and this over here, and we can do this, and whatever it is. They've had input because they're the operators day in and day out, and they're probably pushing it along. A lot of that may be the impact on the administrative rule set, which were presented, the amended rules on Monday, and testimony was taken about those things. But I say all that, Jamie, because it's the same people that are pushing Brisboe are also now in the legislature trying to remove the principles of the MMA, right? It's the same Steve Linder and the MCMA that seems to be threatened by the caregivers and think that their businesses will get better if the caregivers are cut out. Now, we know the statistics are, recent stats, 275,000 patients. At one point, there was 45,000 caregivers. I don't know if that's still the number or not. But we learned that of the 275,000 patients, 75,000 of the patients have caregivers. That means the other 200,000 go to dispensaries or find their cannabis, arguably from, medical facilities.
We used to be able to get cannabis before caregivers in dispensaries, and some people still do that.
I understand, but let's just assume that what we know on paper is there's only 75,000 patients.
They get it from elsewhere.
That should not. Well, okay, but to each his own. They may be growing it themselves, right? But
Sure.
The point I'm trying to make is that it's not a huge indent in what we're talking about, whatever they're trying to amend in the MMA. It's not a, on paper, it's 75,000 patients of 275,000. Like if that is going to impact your bottom line, that's a weak argument. You know what I mean? Of the whole grand scheme. Now I understand they're saying, well, there's all this gray market stuff and blah 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 blah, but it hasn't been documented. There's no metrics to show that.
Right,
That's number one.
But I mean, you've got to realize too that sure, everybody assumes that the motive is the financial destruction, or the acquiring whatever financial gain they assume the caregivers are receiving. But at the end of the day, you look at this and maybe it's more emotional than we think, where these people are pissed off because they feel like somehow they've been slighted because they had to pay for a license. I mean, because you're right, it doesn't make sense. It seems to me that it's such a small number. Is it really worth all of the effort?
Well, you're right. That's the one thing. But I think the argument would continue that, caregiver. I don't know. The argument is the caregivers.
Caregivers are a tangible thing. They're not stopping there. They're already attacking smaller businesses too.
Of course.
Their MO is anything that's not them.
They're going to get there once they do away with the caregivers, or try to. They're going to try and take everybody's grow rights. I mean, that's exactly what's going to.
I know. But let me say so. Your point, Jim, is that just because they say you can't be a caregiver doesn't mean someone's not going to grow cannabis. You're allowed to grow 12 plants anyways, right? Right.
Well, my point is that is on the chopping block as well. You don't see it yet, but this is all. I mean, at the end of the day, they want you to come buy your cannabis from them, and if you don't, they want you to go to jail.
All right, I understand that, and I think that we all should be concerned in a way because the authority by which these arguments are made is selfish.
Yeah.
It's short-sighted, and more importantly, it's an attempt to control more than. It was, equally as much when it was illegal, the cannabis economy.
Yes.
And this is an impossible task. And I'm saying that, tax and regulate, tax marijuana like alcohol, regulate it like alcohol, is supposed to be, it should have a trajectory of accomplishment. There should be a way to get there. You know what I mean? And I think, the battle is going to be in what tax and regulate looks like. It's hard to let me make it's hard to say in the world that we're living in today, and that assuming everyone voted for tax and regulate, and that law starts out with the intention of the MRTMA is to legalize marijuana for adults over the age of 21 and to regulate the cannabis retail market for adults use, right? So we all voted for that in a way. So the idea is that there's the selling of marijuana, the interactions with retail, it's being defined within state parameters, and those things are available. If you want to grow 12 at your house, you can grow and produce for yourself. Yeah. Someone could gift you some from their crops or whatever. And this is the world we're living in, right? Yeah. But it's hard to. And arguably, this is the problem that's not really happening. But arguably, a caregiver that wants to get into the commercial market is under the recreational law. They should be able to. There wouldn't be a pre-qualification issue. It's more on the availability of the land, but that isn't the case, unfortunately. But I'm saying that I think it's difficult in the state. I don't know. Is it difficult in the state we're in to justify untaxed, untaxed sales? Is it if a caregiver is selling to a sick patient?
Who cares?
I don't care. I don't care, but I'm saying
it's going to happen anyway. The only thing that people are going to achieve by pulling this type of bullshit
is more activity.
Throwing people in jail, and that's it.
The tax and regulate, in the way it's being framed here, is becoming the new prohibition. I realize that, okay, and. But the direction that this is going with this codifying of the tax and regulate is make it illegal again.
Yes.
Make it illegal again.
Yes.
Yes.
Unless you're us. Boy, this sounds familiar.
Jamie, see some of that crazy logic there? I don't know. I'm not advocating. I just see like the direction of this. is problematic in a lot of ways, and it's maybe a complete. Now, the short-sightedness of this trajectory that they're talking is just going to create more activity, and we're going to end up in a bloodbath, right? How are they going to stop it? They're going to have to pull out, the raids and the shooting the dogs and kicking in doors in order to stop it. I don't know how they're going to, you know what I mean?
The tanks back up.
And the more restrictive they try to make it, the more the activity is going to flourish. I mean, this is what's happened. You're going to prohibit people from doing something that, they were able to do before. It'd be like, there's people that were like 18, 19 when the legal age of drinking was 18 and 19, and then they made it 21, so they had to wait a year or two to drink again. Do you think they're, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they just stopped.
Right.
Because the government told them to. Yeah, right.
I don't know. Jamie, the messaging here, and I don't want to be misinterpreted. I'm going to stop talking, and we can, y'all can talk, and I'll try to listen. I am not messaging in any way, shape, or form that I would ever advocate for the removing of rights of the MMA. It is not the message here. We should all be very concerned that this is a real threat. There's a lot of money behind the people that are doing this. The original thought that it wasn't going to go anywhere is not true because it's moving to a committee. It's just introduced. They got it in front of somebody else, in front of this agency to have a hearing on, or the subcommittee. And unfortunately, I think because of the lack of sense of the history of Michigan, not really knowing, and anyone that just walks into the room and says, "What are we voting on today?" Oh, that's something that's going to help tax and regulate, and we're going to get more money. More money. Sign me up. You know what I mean? I don't like cannabis and blah blah blah.
I like money.
But I like money, and I want to get reelected, and we can do this. And I'm just saying it's and all the remnants of the MMA on non-inspected and unread is just is just pounding in the ears of legislatures, I can imagine. And we really are in that state where they're trying to regulate the shit out of everything, and anything that's going on that could be taxed. It's like we want more.
And there's an MRA enforcement team out there, and they're raiding people. We've heard about them.
They got it's state police.
It's state police,
and it's like the tobacco and what is it? The tobacco,
marijuana, alcohol, and tobacco enforcement team or something.
Oh boy!
And they're going around and they're raiding people. And you know what? As they keep getting more money, they're going to add a team or two, a raid team or two, and these enforcement / raid teams. That's what's going to happen. So. I mean, if people don't see that, I see it loud and clear, Jim.
Yep. Well, we knew this was going to happen.
And so they may not be Sonic, or it might not be Omni, or it might not be Fang.
They'll still kick in your fucking door.
They're going to try and do it under a more civilized name of the Marijuana Regulatory Enforcement Team. Yeah. But they're still going to be the same raid. They're going to bust into your house with AR-15 guns. And heavily armored, and they're going to have their peacekeeper vehicle, armored vehicle with them, and they're going to raid, and they're going to forfeit your stuff.
I don't know if we need to panic just yet. I don't know that. I don't know.
Telling you.
I would say this. I want to draw a distinction. Okay, we'll take it back. I want to draw a distinction of, and this is outlined in MRTMA, and this has not been amended. But if you got an overgrow going in your house. Let's say you got 12 plants, but now you got 72. And you can't be a caregiver. And you don't sign up as a caregiver. And you got 72 plants and you come in. What's the penalty?
I don't know. Was it habitual, willful, and for a commercial purpose?
I didn't give you any facts.
Yeah.
Well, because I'll tell you what it is. It's a felony because they're going to bump it to the health code like they do.
No.
And they're going to charge it as a felony because they're going to say you're doing it for a commercial purpose because nobody grows that many plants just for personal or medical use. That is what they're going to say. So they're bumping it to public health code every time.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that is never going to be substantiated evidence of habitual or commercial. I'd say that. If you had...
You'd say that, and you can say it till you're blue in the face until you finally get to an appeals court that actually looks at the law.
Well, I would say...
I see stuff going that way.
We've had a couple cases that have... resulted in the theory that I'm promoting here. And I'm just drawing a distinction of the concepts in our law of the number of plants in the recreational law, number of plants, the amount of cannabis, right? Those are two things that, dried cannabis, and selling cannabis. So you got manufacturing, growing, you got possessing with the intent to do something with it, and you have the delivery with remuneration or the sale of marijuana, right? Those three things are unequivocally treated differently within the MRTMA, placing a much higher penalty or no identifiable penalty, which the argument would be that it's, I don't support this, I disagree, that they could be punished in the public health code because with remuneration is something specifically prohibited. And if it's with remuneration, it doesn't say it's a civil infraction, a misdemeanor, or whatever. It is a commercial crime, right? It's a crime regarding commerciality because that is a fact or definition that is something that's prohibited, right? So I think that I've said all along. I think that, what we can tell is that retail type of facilities that are unlicensed, they've gotten raided, right? It isn't. We haven't seen overgrows. I think the raids on homes have stopped. I don't think. I just want to get some.
I think they are reforming their plan. That's all they're doing right now, and they are going to attack, and they're going to do it based on the public health code. I'm just telling you. Yeah, we've had some go pretty good our way, but you get the wrong in the one case I'm thinking of, prosecutor charged it, public health code, no problem. Luckily we had a good judge in the matter. Most 99% of all the other judges, district court judges in this state would have bound that case over. I guarantee it.
We didn't even have to get to the issue of whether they could be charged with a felony because she threw it out on a search warrant, right? But on the illegal
99% of all the other district court judges, they just go along with what the police and prosecutors do. And we know that. You know that.
I know, but listen, over and over and over, it's been stated that prosecutors are not making it a priority. I don't think that they wouldn't mind changing, and making it a priority.
There's a lot of them out there still would. They just froth at the bit to go after this plant.
It's kind of hypocritical, though. It's beyond hypocritical.
If you're in government, you don't mind being a little hypocritical, Michael.
Listen,
they've made that obvious.
Listen, I hope we never get to this point. I do think that let's play the thing out. Is that even a real possibility in that if these bills passed, what are the next steps? They put a bunch of resources into enforcement now, and
they got the money.
All right, but at the end of the day, an overgrow, as I said, is civil infraction, misdemeanor at worst.
Yeah, under MRTMA, but they're going to bump it to the public health code. I'm telling you.
Only if it's sales. Only if there's a sale involved.
As long as that public health code exists and marijuana is a Schedule I controlled substance, they're bouncing it to public health code.
They can't. I don't know.
Yes, they can, and they have, and they will, and they'll do it.
We got to take a break.
All right, let's take a break.
The Planet Green Trees Show.
Come on now, I hear you feeling down, and I can ease your pain, get you on your feet again. Money. worked a double shift in the heart of the city. Sun's going down, I'm about to get ready to close my eyes, get some rest and dream of a life that's better than this. Pull the shades close and turn off the light, climb into bed and the rest of my life fades away oh so fast. The next thing you know, I'm gone in a flash. A big blue world that was full of fire, I was soaring through the air in my radio flyer. That's when I saw you standing in the sunlight. Yeah, the fire in your eyes was so surreal. Somehow I thought it could all be real, wishing that this moment in my life would last forever. Every night I dream so we could be together. My alarm went off and the sun came up, and I was back to work and just my luck, breaking my back just to stay afloat. I can't stay awake, I need an antidote to keep my fears and my blues away. Well, it's getting heavy at the end of the day. I bust out the door, down the road. Yeah, to finish what I started, no we're telling where it might go. Part of a big blue world that was full of fire, I was soaring through the air in my radio flyer. That's when I saw you standing in the sunlight. Yeah, the fire in your eyes was so surreal. Somehow I thought it could all be real, wishing that this moment in my life would last forever. And every night I dream so we could be together. And every night I dream so we could be together. Too long, though my feelings now for you are strong. You take my hand, or we leave the ground, we're flying. A big blue world that was full of fire, I was soaring through the air in my radio flyer. That's when I saw you standing in the sunlight. Yeah, the fire in your eyes was so surreal. Somehow I thought it could all be real, wishing that this moment in my life would last forever. Oh, and every night I dream so we could be together. Yeah, and every night I dream so we could be together. Yes, I do. Oh, I dream of you. Us together.
I'm Earl from G3 Cannabis Therapy Network, and you are watching Planet Green Trees, the original and #1 podcast in Michigan for all things cannabis and legal news.
Bill Schuette led the charge against medical marijuana, and even after the will of the voters was decided and the support was enormous, he still continued to fight against the will of the voters, keeping patients from the medicine that they need. So I think it's important that we all speak up on what we think about this initiative. But when the voters have their say, their will must stand.
Come on now, I hear you feeling down. Well, I can ease your pain, get you on your feet again.
Hi, this is retired Sergeant Steve Miller, and you are watching Planet Green Trees.
Here's Michael Komorn with more Planet Green Trees.
All righty, thanks for staying with us.
Let's talk some more C of O.
We're back. Hold on. We had a couple interesting conversations in the break.
We did.
We want to be careful not to expend too much contention or time arguing about some of the stuff because I'll give you a reason why. Because we want to get the Canna Jam, and we certainly have to resolve this legislation issue, and everyone gets to get a chance to talk because I went around for like 45 minutes or an hour. In the break, we determined, most importantly, the issue of the CFO and homes is that Jim and Steve have been living in cities that were founded prior to the United States Constitution. I think that's what. And that's
Well,
called.
ask Jamie. I mean, Jamie was in real estate, so he's got to be aware. Of
I want to
some
say
of
this before Jamie answers. Certificate of occupancy unequivocally are associated with buildings or things that are managed by the building code inspector because there's a duty. And there's liability for a city if they are allowing activity in a building that is not safe. So says the law. So a certificate obviously would be a certification of a place that people would be coming and going into for commercial purposes that the city would have liability to assure that it's safe and habitable. That's the general theme of it. You guys create a whole new thing, and I would say that that whether it's up to code or not is going to be determined by the inspector for the
inspector.
What if someone wants to come in and pay cash? What if someone pays cash? You don't even need to go to a bank. They can buy it as is, give you cash for the house. You will walk out of there, give you a check.
You need to be able to transfer the title.
I'm telling you, Jamie, you've had to be on some real estate deals where this has occurred.
I have not been.
Okay.
I don't doubt that this is happening when you describe it, but from the time when I was kind of more involved, this wasn't a thing.
I don't know.
Any part of the process.
I mean, you may have to identify if it's a rental property. I could maybe see something like that happening. Where it's not because you're gonna list it. You're gonna list it as
I'm not renting the house from my
primary residence or not, and then the city may, in that situation, have some duty to ensure that it's habitable.
It was to transfer title.
All right. I'm telling you the things that make sense to me. You guys are like aliens to me. You're both.
Well, I'm from the east side.
The fact that the two of you are sitting near each other in no way creates any idea in my mind that this happens a lot. I think you are from experiences that it's happened twice in two cities, never before.
I don't know. His city's on the east side. My city was on the west side.
That's right.
Okay.
East side,
but
west side.
You know what they have in common? They're older cities. They're post-World War II cities that came up with the automotive boom. And that's where people moved into these houses in the 50s and stuff. And and those were when those cities made those laws, and they were allowed. That's back at where we started allowing government to intrude in our lives way too much.
More importantly, why haven't the two of you sued your city?
Because it's just not that big a deal.
Because I don't live there anymore.
It isn't for me. I mean, it's not, the inspector's actually a pretty reasonable guy, and it just isn't.
The Garden City guy was not.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Just to draw the equality of this, Jamie said he's never heard of it before. I, likewise, I tried to overcome a situation, and you two do not make out any kind of
Well, where
popular...
I live now, I didn't have to go through it where I live now, so the, ordinances and different...
We've done such a transaction anyway.
All right, let's talk. Okay.
I have only had experience with this in a rental perspective because when I was looking for, because being in Ipsy, there's a lot of, homes that maybe need to be updated. So they're trying to avoid people being rented houses that don't fit the bill.
The bar, yeah.
Yeah.
And that could be the case in some of these older cities where there is a lot of older homes and they're trying to keep them up to current codes.
Yeah, right.
So,
because you think about it, some of those older places with the electric panels and stuff like that, some of them pretty, I don't know what realm that falls under, but just in thinking about older homes, electric was always one of those things that looks like spider webs through your walls.
all right, we should move on.
Very unsafe.
We should move on to Canna Jam promotion.
No, let's finish up with the bills. You guys can talk about that. Jamie, go. What do you say? Anything to add?
There's no reason to peel back any existing rights. Nothing's been established. This has just been a fabricated issue by people who are very resourceful and knowledgeable of the processes in Lansing. I hope that people contact their own House representative from their own district and urge them to vote no. You can also submit testimony or try to give testimony in person or by Zoom on Tuesday. You can submit it to the clerk.
What's the deadline for submission? Because sometimes they have cutoffs on that. Do you know, Jamie?
Yeah, well, you can. I think up until the time the meeting starts, if you're there, you can submit some stuff. But as I understand it, they have to announce the meeting or schedule the meeting, which could be, they could do it as late as Monday, or they could do it. They'll probably do it tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I'm sorry, they'll probably do it tomorrow.
Do what?
Let's put it on the schedule. You can't like start submitting stuff and trying to ask to see if you can give testimony by Zoom or in person until they put it on the schedule. That's going to probably go down tomorrow. At that point, you can, email the clerk of the Regulatory Reform Committee.
Sure.
You want my take on it?
On the bills or on the clerk?
On the bills.
Oh, okay.
Well, let me take a guess. You think we're going to need a certificate of occupancy to get onto the list?
Under the docket.
Bring it with you.
Need a C of O to get on the legislative docket. No. What I've heard and what I've been hearing around this office is how Michigan is just killing it. Andrew Brisbo's got billions of dollars coming in, and which tells me that the licensed market is just flourishing and doing great. So why the hell do they care about the caregiver? I mean,
that's
caregivers are chipping away a little bit of their profits. I mean, my word, they're making so much goddamn money, and they want to snuff out the caregiver. I mean, what is the point of all that? You got billions. I mean, stop it.
Yeah.
Just stop it.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is all over. I mean, we'll go to my libertarian perspective. This is all over a little plant that harms nobody, helps a lot of people, should have never been illegal in the first place, and shouldn't be regulated in this fashion. That's my opinion. It's all a bit too much. And again, we just sit back and accept it as citizens. But we accepted it because we wanted legalization. So we did the give and take till we could get it legal, and now they want to overregulate it, and to the point where the rich people are just, I mean, it's standard American tradition. The rich people will continue to get richer, and the poor people will get poorer. And government should stay out of our damn business.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
In a way, it's going to be like they're going to see a weird kind of science fiction future where the police are forcing you to buy the state's weed. You know what I mean?
So,
go ahead.
I just did a quick research, and many cities apparently are adopting ordinances that require city certification inspections to be part of the home sales.
All right.
Is that from the other argument? Because I would respond by.
Well, it's an argument. I'm just looking, seeing what's going on.
Putting his ear to the ground, Michael.
Well, listen. I think that it's a very, very important question to think about, and really question whether or not something's going to be acceptable. Because my take on things is that a woman's home is her castle. And the government cannot and should not get in there, ever.
Well, so some are exterior inspections, I think such as Lincoln Park, required to have exterior inspected prior to sale of the property. A certificate of approval shall be valid for one sale transfer of a dwelling. So that's not getting inside, but that's still adding that extra layer of.
Oh no, they come right up in your house.
Yeah, Garden City.
Well, I mean, I'm just talking about this particular city, so it's being done
They
different
get
ways,
all
I
up
guess.
in there, Jimmy.
They get all up in your shit.
All up in there.
That's right. Then they tell you got to fix this and a little of this and a little over here.
Yeah.
You fix all this shit.
It's a pain in the ass. It really is.
Well, I think it has the same impact of as the point in the amendments that they would allow now or force a caregiver to identify where they're growing their plants. Like that is such an invasion of an existing privacy issue, and the idea that the government somehow is forcing.
I agree. I think I'm going to drop my one patient I have.
Listen, it's what the problem. Well, it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet.
Well, if it does, I'm dropping my patient.
All right. Right, because I'm thinking.
Because if you have one patient, you're going to have to report to the state where you're growing your plants for this patient at.
The better question is, here you go. Does section, it used to be 6H. 6H, no one ever talks about section 6. Anyone know what I'm talking about?
No.
No.
Come on.
Please enlighten us.
A person's card shall not be a basis for probable cause for a search, blah, 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 right?
Yes.
So the idea now here that they're doing, like your thing is like, well, they know that I'm a caregiver, I'm growing here, I'm not going to do it anymore because that would be a reason for them to come to the house. Like that shouldn't happen either. Ever.
I'm in agreement with you.
That's not on the chopping block.
Yourself, what is the problem that is being addressed?
Well, they're looking out for our safety, Jim, as to what I understand. That when they're talking about these things, the safety word just keeps popping up, and it's like,
what safety problem?
You know what?
I don't understand.
None of those government officials, those politicians, are going to provide me any safety.
Right.
That I assure you. I don't need their protection. A lot of politicians don't appear to be in good health to me. And I don't need them dictating what I choose for my health choices or anything else that I do in my life. I don't need those people determining my well-being.
It's just concerning sometimes when you see the whole, and I'm not choosing any side here, but when you see the whole, all of these folks are they're way past the working age. They're way past the point in which they should be even put in a position to be helping make choices for any huge nation or even a state or even a county.
I read an article the other day about, I think it was an Iowa or Idaho senator, Republican. He's like 88 years old. And he's running again, just so they can hold on to their seats in the Senate. An 88-year-old man running. I mean, I'm thinking when I'm 88, I'm going to be tired. and probably not in condition to be talking about what's good for the younger people coming up.
The younger folks.
It was just one of the most absurd things I heard all week. We got an 88-year-old man feeling good, running for senator again.
That's crazy.
And it's just a political fodder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And, you know, I also think about this when I'm thinking about how even now, like I'm 46 years old and the technology piece slips away from me, right? So you have to ask younger kids or rely on the younger generation for certain types of things, whereas before maybe you were on top of it. And that's when I start thinking, well, what about these folks that are, how many generations were they in their prime? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many lifetimes did they need to live in that capacity? It's
and the
time
thing
to
is,
move on.
and they know nothing about living real life because they've been politicians their whole damn lives.
Great point. With the income brackets that they're pulling in each year, just on a, you know, like it's out of control how much these people make.
Dollar bill.
For nothing.
Yeah. You want to get rich in the United States? Become a politician.
Isn't it guaranteed income, even, you know, like from here on out? Or is that just the president? I'm not sure how that works.
Jim lives in a place where there's a small town lifestyle in the heart of Metro Detroit.
All right, we're going to take a break.
All right.
We're going for a break.
Then on to Canna Jam.
Then on.
The Planet Green Trees Show. The Planet Green Trees Show.
Join the Michigan Medical Marijuana Association today. MichiganMedicalMarijuana.org. The MMMA is focused on the well-being and safety of medical marijuana patients. The MMMA site provides the most comprehensive and up-to-date news on legal issues, politics, research, cultivation, as well as the various strange products and methods of cannabis use. Come join the discussion with the most knowledgeable and passionate advocates in Michigan today. MichiganMedicalMarijuana.org.
I am Earl from G3 Cannabis Therapy Network, and you are watching Planet Green Trees, the original and #1 podcast in Michigan for all things cannabis and legal news.
Come on now, I hear you feeling down, and I can ease your pain, get you on your feet again. Money, get away, get a good job with full pay, and you're okay.
I was upper middle class, I had a yard of carpet grass. Worked back home 9 to 5, paid my union dues. But the sheriff came one day and he took it all away. Left me without anything to lose. They forfeited my car, they found some sugar in a jar. Told me it was probably suspicion of a crime. The other day I saw it being driven by the law, and them boys in back was gonna do some time. Well, forfeiture today, Lord, what a funny way to pay. Keep the peace so all our kids can go outside and play, without a cotton picking thing to lose. I got the Deep East Texas task force blues. They took my minibar and then they seized my VCR. They could be misused to watch a nasty video. They took away my kitchen all the time. My wife was bitching that it wasn't nothing but oregano. They said my herbal tea might cause a sinful ecstasy. Told me it could only lead to doing something hard. They took my ass to jail. They took my wife, paid my bail. Took my double wide down to the county yard. Forfeiture today, Lord, what a funny way to pay. Keep the peace so all our kids can go outside and play, without a cotton picking thing to lose. I got the Oakland County Task Force blues. Without a cotton picking thing to lose. I got them Oakland County Task Force blues.
Dr. Bud Green here. Welcome to our
important and historical farm crop in American agriculture has returned after having been classified as a controlled substance and illegal. On December 20th, 2018, the President signed the Farm Bill, also known as the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018, into law. The signing of the act was great news for the hemp industry, which amended the definition of marijuana in the Federal Controlled Substances Act. Hemp is now defined as the plant, Cannabis sativa L, and any part of the plant, growing or not, with less than 0.3% THC concentration on a dry basis. The plant itself is no longer a controlled substance. Hemp is one of the most versatile plants on earth. From clothing, fiber, paper, building materials, hempcrete, biofuels, CBD, and medical uses, it has been a part of America's industry for over 200 years. Even the United States Constitution was drafted on hemp paper. The time is now. If you're thinking of getting in the farming or processing of hemp, contact our global experts, legal, and consultation teams to make sure that you're on the right road when you venture into the new hemp industrial revolution. Michigan Hemp Industries has been a leader and advocate for the return of the hemp industry, so come be a part of the new revolution in agriculture in Michigan.
This is Amanda Joslin with Elevation Station, and you're watching Planet Green Trees TV.
Here's Michael Komorn with more Planet Green Trees.
We're back.
All right, we're back. Welcome back. Episode 533. We've been talking about some stuff. Take my hand, we'll make it, I swear. I see, I get it now. I totally get it now. The Canna Jam is on a week from Saturday. Jamie, what do you think Canna Jam is going to be like? What, you got any ideas about this?
Yeah, I have an idea that the entertainment is very high level. It goes on for many hours. Surrounded by very good people and the ability to buy and use cannabis while there and very reasonable costs.
That is true. We did a couple, I've been talking a lot about the event from my experiences, from a lawyer doing an event, and there's all kinds of news stories that I could talk about. But Jamie was doing some PR this week, and I had the privilege of hanging with Tom from Echoes of Pink Floyd, who's also the owner of Pure Relief, which is one of the platinum sponsors. And we had a blast. We had a really good time. He's a great guy. I've really enjoyed getting to know him. And to me, I think Jim, we talked about this, like, you put on an event, like you're looking for like-minded people that want to participate and they want to be there, And like I was like, oh, if we could get some Pink Floyd cover band, and when they heard that we were doing this, they were like, we got to be part of this, you know what I mean? And and he's that kind of guy. He's a great guy, and it's been a great. Where's their facility? They're going to have some, they'll be branded over Pure Relief. I didn't talk to them about that. I know it's
Real Leaf Solutions. They're based out of Kalkaska. They're going to be actually part of Kalkushka Lounge, and Kalkushka is a type that they developed. It's very popular and it's awesome. And
that's awesome. That's great.
They're very, very cool, very great people.
And if you're gonna identify the opposite of the big company takeover, I don't think it gets any more ma and pie than Tom and his team, right?
Yep, Tom and Krista are really good caregivers. We're able to scale up, and they still kind of maintain that approach and philosophy, and very much in opposition of the Linder MCMA.
Yeah, that's for sure. Caregivers. That's for sure. So we have 4 vendors that are showing up. Botanical Company's going to be there. We're hoping, Jamie, as we said, to be able to at least a week in advance, and I'm hoping to lock this in, at least some contemplated menus that will be presented and what kind of items so people could kind of see if they, if they, I mean, there's all kinds of things why people may want to come to see this. It could be, the music. It could be a certain type of cannabis strain that they see in the menu. It could be to meet John Sinclair and hang out with him in the VIP tent.
Darren McCarty.
Or Darren McCarty. Or Ryan Bassor. I mean, I'm saying there's a lot of different reasons. There's entertainment. There's people to see. You're probably being the VIP tent. People always want to smoke cannabis with you. And it's a reason to be there. And I mean, the other thing which is an important part of this, and I think, one of the phenomena of tax and regulate is that it becomes arguably, quote, more necessary when the stigma of cannabis's danger exists, right? Like, you need to regulate it more because it's so dangerous.
For safety.
Like this thing
for
about
everybody's safety.
There's a piece of getting rid of evidence. Now, the other retailers, cultivators or processors deal with waste of the plant, right? And some of it may be more more complicated in terms of what it makes. I can see a processor, they get some kind of chemical thing. They get, probably not, but that's, you're dealing with chemicals or whatever. But there's a whole protocol for throwing out marijuana. Like,
it's like nuclear waste.
Like it's nuclear, right? And it's probably over. It's based on the premise that it's, that someone first of all, someone who wants some garbage marijuana, right? Like, I don't know that that's the thing. There's enough of it going around everywhere. It's not like, and
digging in the trash for roaches, man, that's crazy.
Digging in the right. So
there's people who probably do it.
There are people that do it.
Well, another question is, I mean, go ahead.
More power to them.
That's all we need to say about
live
that.
and let live.
I was saying, I've boasted a few times that there's going to be no fights and no throwing up, and there's because it doesn't happen in the cannabis community. I'm not saying it's that anything's possible. I feel like you get alcohol and it's a thing that escalates. The more it goes on, the longer the day. You get more people that are just not equipped for that. But it's not part of the traditional cannabis ingestion, and I'm curious to see. It would be great, like, for example, if the park looked, after it was over, it's like immaculate. Like, people would kind of take care of their own shit responsible wise. You know what I mean? Throwing shit away. And, it'll probably happen as much, it's not like I'm sure that this whole thing has been billed from the, licensing issue and the, approval and that, and the down payment for the, what do you call it? The,
park?
Yeah, for the park, to cover damages in the future. It's all based on the idea that you better get a bunch of these folks together. They're going to tear the place up. They're going to, dangerous, garbage is going to be left around. I mean, it's kind of built on this super heightened concern of something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. That's the one thing I think it's important that it's less of a concern, as I said. I've been discussing it as if it's predictable, but. I definitely think I have a different theme than, theme and mojo than an event that has alcohol in it, right? I mean, if someone wants to get alcohol and they go off site, there's all kinds of bars and restaurants in the downtown, Depot Town area down there. They can certainly, no one's preventing them. It's just, it's not, it's not something that they could,
That's not what this is about.
Not what this is about.
No. And the law doesn't allow it.
And the law doesn't allow it. And, so there's a lot of reasons why I think, we should talk and emphasize, and what my interest in drawing to this particular event is, number one, I'm not a big fan of alcohol. I don't judge people that like to indulge with alcohol or consume alcohol. But it's still everywhere, and it's highly advertised, and it's big business. You can't can't watch a sporting event without seeing people having a great time, good-looking people dancing around it, doing alcohol, And it's kind of, if you don't have if you're a influential mind, easy to be warped or molded, those things can imprint on you, you know, and culturally you're growing up at a time where alcohol is, you know, displayed and, you know, just watch a sporting game. Glorified, and not something that's for the weak, you know, the weak-minded. You know, a lot of people, especially early in access as an age, you know, can get into issues with it and whatnot. And so what I'm saying is that there's not any kind of equality of the presence of cannabis in these spaces, completely dominated by a much more dangerous, much more lethal, you know, and data and statistics support it. So I can't see, you know, so there's a void of this thus far, you know, and we still have not gotten over some of these taboos. Now, you know, some people may say, what's the big deal? You smoke your marijuana, you do whatever you want in the, you know, in your own home and stuff. Why do you got, but I don't think that's fair. I think I'm more, I don't know, I think, you know, like I don't know if in my life that we'll get to there. Maybe, you know, that you walk into a place and there'll be your single malt scotches, your Russian vodka, and botanical cannabis, or, you know, whatever, Franklin Fields cannabis that's on the counters of choice, or some strain that you can order up. You know, how long away, you know, like, I don't see it anyway. I mean, the licenses don't even allow for that right now. The license would make you go separate. It's not normalized. It's not destigmatized. It's its own, you know, leper colony people over there. You got to get your, going to this leper tent, and, you know, all these other people can't bring, you know.
The old leper tent.
You know, I mean,
it's also important to have these things like this where people can go and consume, because there's a lot of, especially in the city of Ypsilanti and right in that little nook there, there's college kids. And if they're living on the school grounds, they're not able to smoke in their apartment. There's a lot of apartments or condos in that area that also have no smoking, or, you know, that are specifically saying no ingesting cannabis. So there's not a lot of places people can go in some cases, even though they might be patients and doing everything they should be doing, they're still not able to consume in their home for one reason or the other. So, you know, putting things like this, normalizing it more and putting it out there where people don't feel like they have to hide it and, you know, take a drive around the block and hope they don't get pulled over from smoking up the car, you know? So it's important for that reason too, to give people a place to go to do something that they have been granted the, you know, doctor's approval, state approval, whatever you want to call it, and it's their God-given right.
Yep.
Part of the normalizing that I see is that just, I don't know, even if no one else sees it outside of this little place, the fact that it happened and it becomes something that people participated in, and they can share the stories. It was kind of cool. It wasn't cool. I had a good time. Didn't have a good time. But this happened. This didn't happen. You know, that's how things begin to change. I think there's a lot of time here that's going to take place before we get to that kind of thing. I mean, there may be more events and whatnot, but, you know, outside of the strict limitations here, you know, over the next few years, Jamie, we'll probably see some clubs opening up, right, and consumption lounges, which will also contribute to that a little bit. The more social, you know, like the more license, I mean, that we got to get a license to be socially interactive with people when cannabis is involved, is the more of that happens, the more we'll see, you know, over time, probably pulling back of the regulations and more, you know, easy access. I can see a time where restaurants, by virtue of wherever they are, you know, can get a smoking, or, you know, like have a smoking room or something like that where people can go into, or, you know,
smoking room
or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's. I guess we always have the problem of the indoor smoking, right? And cannabis being compared to tobacco in restaurants and whatnot.
But I thought Bill Schuette said that it wasn't, that marijuana wasn't like cigarettes, and specifically in reference to the Clean Air Act.
You're
pretty sure he did.
But don't you know that the Attorney General's opinions don't matter unless they want to? Like,
yeah, well, I want that one to matter.
I know. But so let's talk about it. So what is the...
that was from Schuette, huh?
Yeah.
So...
The Clean Air Act?
What Yeah, or just smoking inside. All right, so this is an outside event. We don't have to talk about smoking inside. So let's talk about this.
So there'll be smoking outside.
We want to reduce the stigma of cannabis use.
Blazing.
Reduce the stigma
Yeah.
of cannabis use in social situation. It still remains that. I think, you've got some, there's certainly some, I use like the television and movies and, series. I can think of several that advance social issues, marijuana TV shows, gay content, that kind of normalize all that, as a cultural phenomena. But it's still not really out in the forefront like it is. It's still got a lot of taboo, and I think, so we need that as a thing. The second thing is, I think, is important that brings everyone together is, from a political perspective, Jamie, cannabis has always been a bipartisan topic. I mean, I think you've got different sects within any political party that are against it, but for the, you could certainly say that there's a number of people. There's certain sects in the Republican Party, maybe libertarian, even, in the conservative, even, socially conservative and economically fiscal or whatever that is. The taxing on the sin tax may be a thing that is adopted. That was always a thing that was sometimes thought of. But you have limited government, right? You have limited government in terms of like intrusions on people's liberties and not wanting to, take away people's freedoms. That's some of the Republican side, and the Democrats likewise have sections of it that wanted to legalize it and wanted to legalize it nationally. There's some, some you could say there's still drug warriors, on both sides. I mean, I'm saying, but for the overall majority, we look at that whole spectrum. You find more people on it that are probably in favor of cannabis than against it, right? You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, certainly there's, people that you are not politically aligned with that you can discuss this and get along and agree on. You may disagree on some things about the topic, but you're more likely to agree on 80, 90% of marijuana topics than you are about any other thing that would come up.
Right.
Right? That is so true.
The spectrum.
That is so true right now. Don't you think so? Like, there's so many. I mean, I don't know. On both. I don't know. Just, I think anyone that thinks of someone else that they inherently would disagree with or argue with about politics today probably feel the same about cannabis. They feel differently about cannabis, and that they could get along and agree about cannabis. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, I feel that the level of divisiveness in this country is. I mean, it happens all the time, and maybe it's hypersensitivity or whatever, but I just feel like there's a divide. I don't know if it's an equal divide. I don't know who's on what side, but I think there's a certain, communication gap of, understanding and facts. What are facts? What are we going to use as facts to talk? You know what I mean? And that can't even be agreed upon. There's just everything's fake news, and I say that for both sides. Both sides are. Then you can't even have a discussion, right? There's a source that it came from is, that's, the, right-wing media, left-wing media, it's just like, and you get a lot of, you bring somebody up to the other side and they say, well, what about Hillary, Benghazi, what, I mean, it's just like, this is the conversation. It's never about, and I'm not directing that at anybody or any political thing, and my reference to Benghazi is just something that came to mind, and I'm not trying to.
That was a bad one.
Right, but right,
not bringing it up, but that was a bad situation.
Right, but I mean, I'm saying it goes on both sides. Like I could say, what about, Stormy Daniels, and you say, well, what about Benghazi, and you say, what about Hillary? I mean, it doesn't end. I'm just that's a far. But the point is this: that doesn't happen with cannabis. So the point I was trying to get to is the divisiveness that exists. And the only way to really move any of the conversation forward is to actually try to talk, right? If you can't meet anywhere in any kind of discussions, then there's no hope.
People should speak respectfully to each other.
You got to get to the table,
politely.
right? You got to sit down at the table if you're going to get to. And walking away from the table doesn't do anyone any good. You need to be able to talk. You need to be able to communicate. And I may be kind of call me. what do you call it? Rainbow and what's
Sunshine and rainbows.
What's the horse with the fucking thing that I can't think of?
The unicorn?
The unicorny, whatever. They bring everybody.
Fucking thing.
You know what I'm saying? Just like some kind of fantasy like that, not understanding humans. I understand humans, I like to believe. But for a few hours on a Saturday in October, just, the gathering, getting together and putting it aside and
come
talking.
Out and hang out and have fun.
Hang out.
Enjoy the shows. There's a lot of entertainment.
There will be.
It is in Washtenaw County. If anybody's heard what Ellie Savitt, Victoria Burton Harris said about what they think about enforcement of certain types of crimes, keep that in mind while you're listening to Pink Floyd music and watching the laser light show.
Lasers.
There's an extra mention.
Got Darren McCarty's comedy.
D-Mac.
T Money Green.
Yeah.
I'm sure those guys are going to do a set of all the old Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg hits from the 90s and stuff.
Heck yeah.
I've seen them play before, so I know they do that. They have a little set within the set of all that, and that's a really cool part of their set, but their overall set is great. And
that'll be good.
Mike Young's comedy.
Yeah.
I can't
believe
it's good to see a good comedian every now and then. It's
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this whole thing. It's going to be a really good time.
And I don't know who else I missed on the entertainment, but
Randy Kaplan.
Randy Kaplan's going to do Bob Dylan set, right?
That's right.
What about
we got DJ who? What's our DJ?
DJ Joey
Pete.
Pistols. It's going to be there.
Pistols?
Good old Pistols.
Razor Ray Reyes will be there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Razor Ray's going to be playing.
We should see if he wants to do like a Santana set or something like that, just to go along with the theme of giving tribute to these classic artists.
Whatever he wants to do.
And he has done that before.
I want to request that now.
Yeah, and we got to get Esteban up there.
I'll talk about it. He's an artist. It's very temperamental, so it's...
Esteban's not getting up there.
Esteban, we got to do a replay.
I'm going to be busy as the security manager of the event. And whatever else needs to happen, things during the day. I'm going to be working.
I'm reminded of a Santana story I want to tell. I was in Mexico at some cheesy resort. I was probably barely in college or something like that, just like a spring break kind of thing. And I was at some dinner. No, maybe not. I don't know, whatever. But I was there, and there was it's this small little restaurant, and there was a house band that was playing music, and someone went over and said, "Can you play Santana? Do you know any Santana?" And they were waiting for someone to ask him to play Santana, and they just fucking shredded. They just went sick. It was
the
like
rest of the night.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying they were just kind of just kind of strumming background. And you guys played Santana, they were just blew it out. It was funny story.
Well, I hope Ray does that then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd like to think that that's
I'll have to ask him about it. But
yeah.
It's not up to me.
Nudge him that way, Jamie.
Well, I understand
Tell him
we're going to
give
get some
full approval.
swag bags.
Swag bags.
Swag bags, Michael?
Have you ever seen Santana at Woodstock? You ever seen that performance? And then,
Probably.
I saw Santana play with Pat Metheny at Live Aid in '85 in Philadelphia.
Wow. Was that the...
Throwing it way back.
Way back.
That was not the Wembley with what's his face from
No,
Queen?
it's during the same event though.
Right. Was it going on?
Phil Collins flew up. Phil Collins played in Wembley with Genesis or whatever, and then flew over and played with Robert Plant, and Jimmy Page, and John Paul Jones, and
As the drummer for the Led Zeppelin, right?
The drummer for Led Zeppelin, basically, yeah.
Right. What about, did he do any action with Philip Bailey, like Susu Studio or anything like that? That was big.
Susu Studio.
And Easy Lover. Remember those? Those are a great song.
No,
Come on. Never? Philip Bailey from Earth, Wind, and Fire?
I don't think he didn't do it during Live Aid, I don't think. Maybe at Wembley he did. I don't know. Maybe he did his own shit at Wembley like that.
Remember Farm Aid? That was a good show.
I do.
That was the first time Sammy Hagar took the stage with the guys from Van Halen. They weren't a band yet, but they jammed out Led Zeppelin rock and roll with Sammy Hagar.
Like a one time.
That makes sense.
And then after that,
they got together.
That's when they got together as a band because David Lee Roth had quit like a little before that.
Quit.
Did he quit or was he fired?
He got bumped.
You like the David Lee Roth version or the Tommy, what's his face, or the other guy, the Can't Drive 65 guy?
I prefer David Lee Roth, Van Halen.
Yeah.
But I actually like Sammy Hagar better as a solo artist. I saw him on the I Can't Drive 55 tour, and that was a great show. I mean, Sammy doesn't need Van Halen to put on a good show. He can do it all on his own, and I've seen it, and it's good. And I did like, him with Van Halen, but I prefer David Lee Roth Van Halen.
Jim, other than the Smiths, do you like Van Halen with David Lee Roth and?
I was never really into Van Halen.
Okay.
So
they weren't.
It just wasn't
emo enough for you?
No, they weren't.
Just kidding, I'm joking. I know you're like
similar enough to Morrissey. That's right.
I know you hate that. Jim does not like Morrissey. That's what I'm saying. What about the? I'm strictly in 1984, 85 era, Jamie, because you put us there from the Farm Aid, Live Aid stuff. Violent Femmes, Jim. You're like 10 years my junior, so you're like
no, I
11.
Love Violent.
Oh, you do? Okay.
That's more. It's more
Jamie.
I'm hip. I like the Violent Femmes.
Amanda, what about you guys? What are your David Lee Roth or Sammy Schneider?
I was more of the David Lee Roth type, but I mean, they were both good. We had the records. My aunt had this big record collection. I remember she had all the records of everybody, just tons of them. We'd listen to it all the time.
Right, here we go. We've done this before, the first memorable album that you received and listened to on a turntable. Or it could be a compact disc, or the first one that was like, blew you away. Did we do this before?
Rainbow Connection, Muppet Movie, or Grease.
Yeah.
I think mine was...
The music on Grease is fantastic, by the way. It is really.
Yeah.
The problem is, I saw someone re-review the movie. I saw someone talking about the movie, and they're saying, like, Olivia Newton-John's voice is great, but she's a terrible actress in the movie. You don't get that on the record. She's got a great voice. And John Travolta's
totally
like 10 times better because he's like a trained actor and whatever. He had a kind of, I don't know, but I'm not saying that for my own. But yeah, that's a great album.
Yeah, it really is. But I wasn't too much into the, after the first Grease movie and album, of course. I didn't care for the remainders. They did like Grease 2 and stuff like that.
Yeah, those weren't very good.
Yeah, I thought the original one was the best.
And there was a guy that ended up on Taxi that was in like one of the greasers or whatever. Remember that? Jeff Conway, is that his name or something like that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Random. Jamie, what about you? You got a band music that dropped in your lap and you're like, oh, wow, this is really cool. I like this. I now listen to music because I got this one piece of music. I listen to it now.
I don't know if I can say that about anything, but you made it less complicated before with asking like what your first record was.
Okay, fine.
So my sister, when I was like 5, gave me a Elton John 45, Crocodile Rock on one side and Elderberry Wine on the other. From the album Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only a Piano Player, which I got a couple years later because of that. I was happy with that. I think I still own that.
Really?
I hope so anyway. Yeah.
It might be worth some money.
I missed it. Dan was talking. What was the named album? What was it?
It was Elton John Crocodile Rock 45 with Elderberry.
Yeah. That's a great era.
Crocodile Rock on one side, Elderberry Wine on the other.
Nice. Who do we got? Jim?
Well, I mean, I guess there's a couple of them, but the one that is most memorable for me when I was a child was my dad was a big George Carlin fan, and he had the the 7 words you can't say on TV.
That's awesome.
And, you know, I was probably a little older by the time I really got to listen to that, but I always, very memorable to me as far as a record.
Did you let it go?
What?
Let it go in the house?
Oh, yeah.
Steve?
Yeah, there's George Carlin.
You got one?
I'm pretty sure it was Kiss Alive. And I was real young. I was 3 or 4 years old, and I would go to the grocery store with my mom, and there was a store called 3D next to the Farmer Jack, and they had a record section. And my mom would let me run into the store and look at stuff while she was grocery shopping. I guess times were different then.
Yeah.
And I would always go and look at this record. And I was like, wow.
Kiss Alive 1 or 2?
Alive 1.
Yeah, yeah.
Who are these guys?
Right.
Mom, buy me this. Mom, buy me this. She finally bought it for me. And that's still one of my favorite records to this day, Kiss Alive.
It is. It was a masterpiece, I have to say. I think we must have talked, because I've used that one in the past as well, because, yeah, like when you look at this, right? I think I got that.
Just looking at the photos, wow. What?
I know.
What are these guys?
How soon after that did you join the Kiss
Army? I don't know if I ever did, but I think I wrote them all letters at one point.
Here's a better question. Did you ever have Kiss tattoos and, you know, the stickums and put them on your...
Oh, probably.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's time to give away some tickets. I think there's...
Oh, are we giving away tickets tonight?
Yeah, to whoever's listening.
Who's listening?
Whoever stuck it out till 10:10.
Who wants a ticket?
Dan's gonna give
let's
away tickets.
Let's go to the
Come on, let's get this going. Get some people out to the show.
And we'll ask Dirty Dan who the winner is.
What are we gonna do?
I thought we were giving away a ticket.
We are.
So
we're going to have somebody respond in the comment section.
Yep.
And that person will then be, Dirty Dan's going to watch out for that and reach out.
What are we doing? What are we...
This is for a free... Is it a ticket or tickets? A pair of tickets?
I don't know. Michael, what do you think?
Pair of tickets.
Just a solo or a pair?
A pair.
A pair of free tickets.
But I'm gonna come up with a trivia question like Alex Trebek on Saturday Night Live when he does his Celebrity Jeopardy.
Yeah, that was
like
that.
Words that start with the letter G or something like that. No, you know.
Words that start, well...
Here, I'm gonna throw it there.
We're going to wait. Well, we already just said comments, so we're going to wait on Dirty Dan. He's going to tell us who the winner is.
What are any comments?
Yeah, he's going to gather the comments.
So we're just... Okay, I wanted to make it kind of...
Oh, it looks like...
A little bit of a
challenge. It looks like Dirty Dan is giving people a challenge. First one to answer what 2 + 2 is.
Yeah.
Is that what the challenge is?
That's the challenge.
Yep.
But Dirty Dan can be a tough one.
Loosen up those fingers.
How about
punch in on the keyboard? 2 + 2. Oh, Jamie got one.
All right, does Jamie get the free ticket?
I was going to say...
Jamie got the free ticket.
Free ticket to anybody that posts their favorite Bob Dylan lyric. Okay.
Ooh, interesting.
That's a good one. I wouldn't even know how to answer that one.
I had to answer that to join the Bob Dylan fan club on Facebook.
Did they let you in?
They let me in. You know why? Because you should have to be able to do that to get into his Facebook fan club, right? It's really just a promotional thing for himself.
Dirty Dan, do we have a winner? Knock twice if we have a winner.
You know my favorite quote? When I answer the time, no, I shouldn't give it. I'm going to get the ticket. I want it. I'm going to get it and give it away to someone.
I do believe we have a winner, but
what's Dirty Dan?
We're going off of Dirty Dan.
Come on, Dan.
David Miller, he says.
We need a wiener to go with the pair.
He's got a good.
There's a wiener right there, David Miller.
He's got a good last name.
Did he answer the question for, or did he come up with a quote from Bob Dylan?
he answered the number 4.
Okay.
Is 2 + 2. Now, if you would like to, you want to throw in the Bob Dylan lyric for an additional giveaway.
That's what I want to do.
Of
Yeah,
a
let's
pair
do
of
it.
tickets.
Another pair
All
of
right.
tickets.
Any quote.
Pair of tickets.
Any quote
Bob Dylan.
from a song of Bob Dylan, lyric in a song.
Jamie, don't.
And Dirty
You
Dan
don't
is going to
count,
verify it.
You don't need to loosen up over there.
All right. Can we get some Jeopardy music? Or is that trademarked, copyrighted? Oh, it's copyrighted. We better go back to the echoes of
You
Pink
got to
Floyd
parody
then.
it. You got to parody it, and then it's fine.
Yes, Sunshine Daisy, you count. You count. There was a comment in there.
First Bob Dylan lyric.
Not that hard.
Put out a Bob Dylan lyric.
Just go to Google.
There's an easy
Bob
one.
Dylan
There's an,
lyric.
easy,
Bob Dylan
there's an
lyric.
easy one.
We're still waiting.
Everybody
Think
must
back,
get
everyone.
stoned is one of them that comes to
Wagon
mind. I mean,
Yeah, that's right.
that's one that comes to mind. That's not my
I
favorite.
couldn't think of anything because I don't listen to a lot about.
Steal a little, and they'll throw you in jail. Steal a lot, and they'll make you king.
It's true.
There's a lot of
blowing
truth
the
in a lot of his lyrics. A lot of lessons to be learned. Want me to go on?
Yeah.
Keep going.
I'm gonna quote.
Rock me, baby. Okay. Got that from Brian Barger.
Is that a Dylan quote? Rock me, baby.
Probably. I mean, sounds like it. Yeah, is there a Rock Me Baby? From what song?
Nope. He's what song?
I don't trust that that's actually his favorite.
Just give him the tickets.
Yeah.
Give him to Tanya too.
And Tanya,
Give
of
him
course.
the Sunshine
Like a
Pass 'em
wagon
out.
wheel.
Pass them out.
Times are a changing.
Come out
Okay.
to the
There
Got
we
that
go.
one
There
from
you go.
Sunshine
All right.
Baby.
You have to have a couple winners. There they
Couple
go.
winners. Dirty Dan
Okay.
is going to reach out to you about claiming your prizes. So, Dirty Dan, don't forget. He may
Yep.
be masquerading as Planet Green Trees TV, so make sure you respond if he
Yes.
does that.
If somebody creeps in your DMs, it's just
it's
Dirty
just Dirty
Dan.
Dan. It's totally normal. That's
Don't even worry.
He's only a little dirty.
right. Except when he gets in the inbox.
I'm glad we're still having fun, and we should have mentioned this earlier. I saw in a newspaper today in a title called Activist Profile, Jamie Lowell of Detroit, Michigan, was
Oh yeah.
recognized for his ongoing activism and ability to use his sharp tongue to knock down the MCMA at all times. And it was nice that you recognize that.
Nice.
Yeah, like when you're doing shit, it's not for money, it's not for friends and love, and it's hard to make everybody happy.
Jamie's been on the grind a long time.
It was good to see that there was some recognition of it, and even though it's probably a topic I shouldn't talk about, you were spoken of lovingly ways on the Safer Mish website, which you were banned from.
Yes, you were given all kinds, all kinds of kudos, pats on the back, and also that was an amazing write-up.
Yeah, they can throw you out of Safer Mish, but they can't touch your fucking record as an
Right.
activist.
They can't.
Look at that.
They can't.
Nope. Sorry, I have less emails in my inbox now.
Yeah, that clears out your
Probably less
inbox quite a
cluttered.
bit.
Yeah.
Clears out the inbox upstairs too.
Huh. Yeah, it's less. It's become a lot less interesting, hasn't it?
I didn't even think there was anything wrong with what she said.
With what he said?
Yeah, what
he did. Yeah, it was.
I thought it was fine.
I must have missed it.
You know what?
I found out today that Jamie was banned. I had no idea.
I wouldn't be surprised if.
But I can't believe what he was banned for.
Whether he'll come
I
back.
don't even remember.
Was
I don't even remember.
Listen, whether he'll come back or not is another story. Whether they'll be lucky enough to get Jamie back to save for Mitch. But I would say that those that, you know, and in a very subtle or overt way, either how you want to look at it, like you were granted access back in, you know, in my mind, because the source of the debate that drew this, even though it wasn't a debate, it was this commentary. Without it, you know, we're all jumping on the bandwagon of Jamie greatness. So I would find it hard to believe that they would not.
Well, I don't think Jamie even said anything wrong in the first place.
No, but the people that were around that call or whatever were, you know, speaking nice of him. It was just, you know, it was almost like they missed him.
Yeah,
they missed him.
Yeah.
Well,
I think Bob Redden thought that I passed away.
You saw that?
I did. Somebody sent it to me, and it said,
yeah.
In fact, about
nice,
four or five people sent it to me, by the way. And I appreciate it being brought up now, and I appreciate all those people that made me aware of it. It said something like, I agree with everybody, and he also always had good weed.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like,
he's always got the best weed or something.
well, that was an awesome way to be remembered if that was the case.
Yeah,
you know?
that was my Safer Mish epitaph.
I mean,
when I saw that, I said, yeah, he does.
At the end of the day, isn't that what all this is really about? You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, you fight about money and who's going to get the money, who's going to sell and stuff, but like at the end of the day, the search for the best weed is still a thing, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Cannabis. Which is why you want to keep Jamie on your good side.
Right, because he's always got
And
the
it's
best weed.
also why you want to go to the Canna Jam on October 9th.
Canna Jam.
You will see Jamie there.
And yes, he's going to be in VIP.
You can hang out with Jamie in the VIP.
Smoking some of the best cannabis.
Yeah. So Sunshine, I think, is going to take the tickets, but Brian is saying he can't make it, so might as well keep those available for somebody else.
All right.
Okay.
Are there enough people
right.
that would want to try to claim those since Brian doesn't want them?
We got anybody else want to
I don't know.
want
Brian?
to claim?
Yeah. Anybody want to go?
I mean, I would throw out another trivia question. It doesn't have to be long, but we can we could say.
The question is, which bear is best?
The grizzly.
Ass.
I don't know. I guess you would need to really figure out
Bear
in
ass.
what environment, because if you're talking about what bear is best and you're up in the North Pole, then clearly you're going to choose a polar bear. But if you're going on to like maybe Alaska or something like that, maybe a brown bear or grizzly bear, something like that's the better choice.
I think Jim's point was name a bear and you win. Like, name any bear. That's kind of like, you know.
Oh,
what's the best bear? Black bear, brown bear, polar bear.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
okay.
like we can't have a legitimate debate over science of which is the best bear. Although you were making a great case for it, you could be the judge of it. Okay,
I just need some more information.
Right.
One of my kids would say polar bear for sure.
Yeah, you know, one time I went to the zoo and saw a polar bear, and
They're really cool.
it was the first time I'd saw one. I've seen one in the zoo, and this one I was a little shocked to see his fur was all green because of algae. It seems as if they would have cleaned him up, you know. But I can't imagine they have.
Detroit Zoo has a good polar bear exhibit.
This was out in California. I think it was in at the Sacramento Zoo.
They're not actually white. They actually just adopt kind of different colors around them. They appear to be white a lot of the time, but they're not actually white. They've got, you know.
Really?
But
they're weird, yeah.
The green could be because they're in California and it's not really natural habitat for them.
Yeah, I think they're just getting messed up because they're not supposed to be there. Their fur is, it's algae. It's like it's not supposed to be.
You know, there's
California.
Some that say
California polar bears.
Yeah, California polar bears. You're not supposed to.
There's some that say the Yeti might actually be some sort of hybrid between a polar bear and a grizzly.
Oh, I think it's in
I
a
saw
human.
that on a documentary one time.
On the History Channel?
So not an overpriced cooler.
No.
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 Are those things really good? I've heard.
Yeah, the Yeti
people
makes
swear
good
by 'em.
products. I like my Yeti cups.
Hmm.
Um,
I don't have one of those. I've not tried them yet.
most of mine are coated in oil and honey.
Yeah.
'Cause I drink my tea out of them.
They're not easy to clean, you're saying?
Well, I get them clean.
All right, okay.
Cleaning them up. And we got
That's the one thing I do want to say is I've gotten a couple of
grams of oil, and it is awful nice to have it again.
I like my oil.
Yeah.
Hey,
Is there a shortage? Is there a shortage in the
There's an
Michigan market?
inquiry about tickets being asked if they can be mailed, snail mail to somebody. You know, since you're on a computer, since you're doing this, you can get the tickets
Print
right
them out.
from the site. You can get them yourself and just print them off, or you can have them on your phone available on the day, right?
Yep.
Yep. So
Whoever wins a ticket will get a one-time
email with
code of how they go to Eventbrite and use
They're
that.
already doing that.
Okay, and use that code, and instead of having to give a credit card or a debit card, you can give the code, and a ticket purchase will transpire, and you will have that ticket. You can use that for
a legally binding transaction.
Entrance into the
Use
event.
the computer or the phone that you're on to watch this, and go to that link that's put on here and use that code.
Get your
And
ticket.
you're good.
Print it out.
At least we know 4 people are going to show up. I think we're fair on that, right? We got at least 4 tickets given out.
Yeah.
Well,
is
and
that
then
how many
us.
people are in Echoes of Pink
and then
Floyd?
all of us. So
Right.
be like 8.
You got to count all the
Plus the guys in the
entertainers.
band.
DJ.
And then the food vendors.
Joey Pistols.
Pistols. There was a place we used to go to when I was much younger, and it was called Pistol Pete's. So every time you guys say that, it reminds me of that place.
Where was the play? Where were you? They went to Pistol Pete's. Where was that restaurant?
Oh, I was just a fresh, young 21-year-old girl running the streets of Auburn, California at that point.
Is that a chain restaurant from the infamous Pistol Pete basketball player?
No, it was like a pool hall.
Okay.
In a bar.
All right.
You know, not too much to do around there, other than outdoor stuff.
I talk about old stuff. It's not old one. Pistol Pete. No one knows what Pistol Pete is. You know what it is?
Pistol Pete?
Yeah.
I think it was somebody. I've heard of it, but I don't know where it came
Are
from.
you talking about the
Pistol
cartoon?
Pete.
No, I'm talking about the basketball player.
No, I don't know about a basketball
Utah
player.
Jazz, I think,
Pistol
or something like that.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Pistol Pete.
Anybody?
Tommy? Pistol Pete? No.
Sorry.
Sorry.
All right, so have we had enough? I think
I think it was a Western.
You know, we got up into some side topics here, and we didn't really talk enough about Canna Jam, but we are very excited about it, and there's a lot of reasons to show up. The talent is going to be phenomenal. The
It will
cannabis is going to be phenomenal.
It's going to be good.
We got first of all the proceeds are going to not all the proceeds.
Not all.
Portion of the proceeds are going to be donated to the John Sinclair Foundation. Portions of the proceeds are going to be donated to the Redemption Brand Foundation, Ryan Bassor. We have Real Leaf as a platinum sponsor. We've got many affiliate sponsors that I'm going to mention in a second, but the four vendors are coming. 2 out of Ypsilanti, that being Oz Cannabis, Sticky Yipsy, the Pure Lapeer, and of course Botanical Company from Tawas.
Yeah. No, there's Tawas from Tawas, Lansing, and Kalkaska.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to limit that.
Jamie, were you mentioning earlier?
And I want to mention that this event takes place right by Depot Town, historic Depot Town. It's a cool place to hang out in and of itself. The Depot Town dispensary is there, and also the sidetrack It's a good restaurant.
It is a good
Yes,
restaurant.
Sidetrack is a good
And
restaurant.
actually, if you'd like to go to Sidetrack, they might just have some codes to help you get some tickets. That's if you're not here right now, enjoying the
Hint, hint.
ability to get some.
Right. If someone watches this later on, you're saying.
Oh,
they
there's
hear
Joey
this.
Pistols.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, if you're watching this
I
later,
like that guy.
also try out May's Mexican Cantina, which is right there in Depot Town as well, and they have
Do that.
award-winning food.
Nice.
And it
But
was
then go
so
to
delicious.
Sidetrack and get a drink so that you can get the promo code to get the tickets.
Yes, but
missed out
then
on
make
all the
sure that
activity.
you make your way down to the Canna Jam to watch the
And then
light
don't
show.
get too fucked up so you can still make it into the Canna Jam.
Yeah.
Randy
You
Kaplan,
might choose.
Razor Ray.
Echoes of Pink Floyd.
Chrissy Kinney is going to be the comedian who goes before
D-Mac.
D-Mac. Yep, that should be pretty funny. And I know that there's somebody else who's going to be going, kind of warming up for Mike Young. Too.
That's right.
DJ Joey Pistols.
We got to keep that on track. We got to get someone. We got like a stage mom that's handling the timing of all that because we're gonna. I could see that running over. Is it a good stage mom? Yeah. She make sure no boys go into the girls' changing room. All right, all right.
That's an important one. Pistol Pete was, in fact, an NBA guy.
The restaurant was
was,
associated with him?
No,
All right.
but when I'm looking it up, it might have been named, you know,
Right.
It was not put out in like a basketball type of
Right.
scene,
It's
but
probably it's cowboyish. It probably sounds westerny.
yeah.
Jamie, I want to ask you: do we know if our compatriot D-Mac was on the? Was it tonight that he was on the? Drew and Mike.
I didn't confirm. I saw the text that he was supposed to be on there tonight.
Oh, good. Because I think I texted our
I
guy.
also
All right.
hear that we're going to have some swag bags.
Swag bag.
Swag bags, giveaways. Is that what I'm hearing?
He's lost. I think we're gonna have to shut it down.
Crickets?
Oh shit! It's 10:30.
We're shutting it down.
See?
Yeah. Shut it down.
Get your Canna Jam
Now shut her
tickets.
down.
Do it now.
The Planet Green Trees Show.
Before you play, call me, Attorney Michael Komorn.
historical farm crop in American agriculture has returned after having been classified as a controlled substance and illegal. On December 20th, 2018, the President signed the Farm Bill, also known as the Agriculture Improvement Act of 2018, into law. The signing of the act was great news for the hemp industry, which amended the definition of marijuana in the Federal Controlled Substances Act. Hemp is now defined as the plant, Cannabis sativa L, and any part of the plant, growing or not, with less than 0.3% THC concentration on a dry basis. The plant itself is no longer a controlled substance. Hemp is one of the most versatile plants on earth. From clothing, fiber, paper, building materials, hempcrete, biofuels, CBD, and medical uses, it has been a part of America's industry for over 200 years. Even the United States Constitution was drafted on hemp paper. The time is now. If you're thinking of getting in the farming or processing of hemp, contact our global experts, legal, and consultation teams to make sure that you're on the right road when you venture into the new hemp industrial revolution. Michigan Hemp Industries has been a leader and advocate for the return of the hemp industry, so come be a part of the new revolution in agriculture in Michigan.